leaf blowers, but if something really gets screwy with Zoom or you get,
Well, we may not have the leaf blower because I don't know what's happening.
okay, that's fine. But if something gets screwy and you get bombarded with 100 people, you text me, I'll come back.
That will not happen.
All you have to do, oh, you're recording. Okay.
There is Alex. Okay, great. The meeting is called to order. And do you want to function as secretary, Chip, as well? Can you do that?
Sure, absolutely.
Jesse's driving, so all you have to do once you do the minutes is write him up and send them to Jesse and he'll format them for you.
You got it.
So would you call the roll then?
Calling the roll. Adele Slaughter.
Here.
Chris Trent.
Here.
Melanie Winter. Maisie.
Melanie.
Sorry, I'm here. I just couldn't make my computer find the mute button. Got it.
There you go. Melanie's here. Chip Meehan is here. And Jesse Sanford, are you here?
Here. Thank you.
You bet. And those are the only board members, right? Or committee members? So
Susan is excused. Diana is excused. I don't know what's happening with Lily. I'll have to find out. But it might be her dad is also in hospice care as is Alex. So that's
Alex, Kira, Anthony are all guests.
No, Alex is on our committee. Alexander Black.
I'm sorry.
Kira, Jeff Hardwick, Anthony, Scott Mandel, Brandon are not on the committee.
Okay. Alex, you threw me with the horse.
Yes, I'm here. I'm the horse guy.
Mr.
I
Ed.
can do video. Hold on.
Okay, so can we, everyone should have received the minutes of the last meeting. Can we do a consent agenda approval? Are there any additions to the agenda? Or is it approved as written? You're gonna have to call roll because I can't see everybody. So.
Oh, okay. So Adele, do you approve the meetings, the minutes?
Yes.
Jesse, do you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
And I'm Chip. I also approve them. So they're unanimously approved.
Okay, great. Thank you. So do we have, I thought Jill Mather was going to be here to talk about Earth Day. Am I wrong about that? She's not here. She was going to come. She may come later. I don't know. She said she was coming. I emailed her. So we'll table that. I can tell you that they are, let me just tell you that on April 23rd, they're asking for volunteers to help clean up Studio City. And there's going to be people on different corners, and it will consist of picking up litter, including bushes, parking lots, side streets, partially down north and south, storm drain, cleaning the grates, leaf, picking up gutters, and with a dustpan, no electric, no blowers whatsoever. They were asking if we wanted to try to, some of us volunteer or, get other people to do it. And I think she was going to present to us tonight, but I don't know, maybe she forgot. One of the things, interestingly enough, they aren't going to do certain portions of the boulevard where the beautification, Studio City Beautification Committee already does that.
I thought it was the bid, not beautification.
Oh, you're right, bid.
It's all the business investment districts have their own up and down the boulevard.
Yeah, so I don't know, exactly what areas. That's why I wanted her to come and talk about it, because I don't know what areas or where they're going to be stationed or, what they want to do in Studio City specifically. So maybe I'll have to figure out how to get that information. I thought it would be easier for her to just come and tell us. So, okay.
I agree, because I'm on beautification and I thought they own the whole boulevard.
beautification?
No, I thought the bid did everything from basically cold water to certainly Laurel, but perhaps Colfax.
It's pretty clean. I mean, the boulevard's not. Studio City is pretty clean, generally speaking. You know, there are areas that are not particularly clean, I can think of, but I just that's why I don't know what areas they're addressing. So, well, I will be in touch with her. I would like to give the floor to Tony Knight, who is a Studio City resident stakeholder, and he's doing some interesting work here. I would like you to, if you don't mind, Tony, like, you know, just tell them your background and your history and what you do. And just so you guys know, I'm thinking about asking him to be on the committee with us because of the things he does. And so, yeah.
And I met Adele for the first time, I guess last week or so. She came by walking her dog, and we said hello, started talking.
He has a bioswell in his front yard.
Yes, I have a bioswell in my front yard, so that gets Adele's attention. A real live one. Anyway, my name is Tony Knight, and I recently retired in July as I was superintendent of the Oak Park Unified School District in the Agora Hills area. My wife and I have lived here in Studio City since 1984 and owned our house since 86. And we've been, you know, involved in members of SCRA the whole time, and, you know, tangentially involved, but now I have more time. So, you know, we want to be more involved in our community here. While I was in Oak Park, the school district was known for environmental sustainability efforts, and I presented at conferences all over the country, and am on the California Environmental Literacy Initiative, focusing on schools and implementing the California Blueprint for Environmental Literacy. And also the Green Schoolyards America with Sharon Danks and others were involved in greening our schoolyards throughout the US. And I volunteer for the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary through NOAA, and I'm on the advisory council for them. I'm now teaching sailing out of Marina Del Rey, and I'm on a list to be a dive volunteer for the California Science Center potentially. So I'm going through that process right now. So I have a lot of interest in sustainability and the environment. When I was talking to Adele, I was telling you that we have a project going on with the Tree People right now that involves, we applied for a grant, I guess, if you will, for our block, and got accepted. And my wife and I went through the training with the Tree People for the community forestry program. And we completed the training and became community foresters. And now I was just looking at my list, we're going to be planting 16 trees along our street from Moore Park to the freeway along Worcester Avenue here in Studio City. And, you know, I learned a tremendous amount by working with the Tree People. Maybe you all know more about this than I expect you might, but, you know, they really cut all the red tape with the city in terms of getting a project going. You know, like if you try to plant a tree in front of your house, it's a major big deal, you know, with the permit and everything. And they just make it happen, you know. So we're looking at planting these trees possibly in the spring. And the city provides the trees, we provide the volunteers, we kind of make it an event. As part of our training, we went to a program in Watts called Watts Rising that's working with a lot of different organizations there. Tree People is one of them. And we went and volunteered on a Sunday morning and planted some trees there, which was a really wonderful experience. And so anyway, I think there's a lot that Tree People would like to do. And I thought maybe we wouldn't be accepted because, you know, we're kind of a, you know, an upper class area here we have a lot of trees, but they were very happy to work with us, you know, especially they're local, and they were thrilled to help plant trees here. And I'm sure they would plant more around our area. They're mainly looking for people who are interested in, you know, getting a program going and you know, agreeing to care for the trees and going through the process. You know, it is like pulling teeth, getting the neighbors to sign the commitment to water forms. It's a bit of a process you have to go through. It's a lot of work. But if you're persistent with it, you can kind of get it done. But yeah, I have always been an environmentalist. Our school district has won every award. We were the first national Green Ribbon school district in California. and one of the first 13 in the United States. And I was very excited to get to go to Washington and receive that recognition from when President Obama was president. And so it was a neat thing. And so I know the terminology and I'm aware of how this works, and would like to give more to the local area and just help. That's all I want to do is help out. I'm not looking for any glory or any kind of resume building anymore, which is really nice. I think that's it, Adele. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
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 I suddenly feel really irrelevant.
I don't think so.
Well, one of the things that when Tony and I were talking that really struck me is we've been talking about this in committee, that how hard it is to get people to say, yeah, I'll plant a tree, because they don't want to water it, they think it's too messy, they have whatever, a myriad of reasons of why they don't want to. And this week I had to go see my accountant, and I drove up to her house, and she lives near Van Owen and Ethel, in that area. And since the last time I was there, most of the trees have come down and all of the front yards are cemented. And the lack of education and some people have suggested that it's a cultural thing, that certain different cultures just don't value the trees and they would prefer to have, a cement driveway so they can park their car, not on the street, so their car can be off street. And I'm noticing another trend all around, everywhere, people building fences, but not just fences, like major fences, like concrete, to keep people out, and so it's a big job of teaching people what Tony was talking about, how to do that. And it's what Scott said earlier. It's a little discouraging because so many trees are just coming down because of developers and and so forth. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in one of our motions tonight. So anyway, I would, I don't know, at this point, I invited everybody to be on this committee, and I don't really feel like being the czar of the sustainability committee. I mean, I would love to have Tony on the committee, and if we all agree, then we could just invite him to be on the committee tonight. Does anyone, I know you can't disagree with him sitting right there, but I mean, could you not, wouldn't it be wonderful to have Tony on the committee?
Oh, I would. If I didn't want him or somebody on there, I would absolutely tell you. And nope, he's hired in my book.
Yeah. Melanie gives thumbs up. Great. Chip?
Absolutely.
And thumbs up for Jesse, and thumbs up for Alex. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to join us. We'd love to have you.
I will. This sounds like it would be fun. I do love Studio City, and I agree with you, Adele, on all the different things that we're seeing. I think it's a big concern, even in neighborhoods like ours, the fence is going up, and then the shrubs that they're planting, the same species everywhere, so that you can't see. And it is a unfortunate part of the urban environment, and it's not nice. It is unfortunate with the artificial grass and all the kinds of things going on, and I think it is a lot of education. I have a doctorate in education from USC, and I think that educating people about the environment is the key. People don't understand. They don't know, this kind of thing, and what has to happen to that. And that finding the way to do it is complicated sometimes. It's difficult to find an avenue where you are able to get people to listen and to share information, et cetera, about these kinds of things. I mean, most people don't know that, should you try to keep the water on your property? That's what my goal was. I don't want water running off my property into the street, because it goes into the river and then it goes into the ocean, and I want to save it into the aquifer here, so I built a bioswale in my front yard, which I think looks nice. And, and it has a very important function. I want to put a little sign on it, how it works. so people could read about it. But, so we in the school district, that's what we did. We built them everywhere and we put information out about how they work, but so that people get an idea of, what a rain garden is, et cetera, how we preserve our water and how that helps to preserve our environment and how it is that we have to get used to living in a different kind of climate situation here in Southern California. That's going to be essential, especially if we're going to start using water from wells and things here. So I don't know, but anything that I could do to help, I would love to do just to help. That would be great.
Great.
And my wife as well, she'll help.
Fantastic. So do we have any other government representatives or guests that would like to speak? And then if not, please raise your hand. Or and is there any public comment on any items that are related to sustainability that are not on the agenda? Would anyone like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. Do not be shy. We welcome everyone.
Adele,
Yes.
the presentation I'll be giving, that I've sent you a copy of that you can put up when I chime in about what I'm going to be presenting, does have someone involved in it that could speak to us, perhaps. I don't know. It's a gentleman from Los Angeles Sanitation Department, Alex Halio. He's a senior official at Los Angeles Sanitation as they scramble to put together a program for everyone to be putting their food waste into the green bin and perhaps a new bin that'll be coming out. So I work with him. I'm talking to him somewhat frequently right now on several pilot programs, and one of the ones I'll be talking about tonight. And I would like to maybe ask if he'd like to speak as we think about what I'll present tonight. If people are interested in it, maybe he could speak about it as we all work towards work towards putting our food scraps in the appropriate bins and learn about our new law requiring our food waste to be diverted.
Okay. Did you need me to bump you up the agenda, Alex?
No, I'm good. I'm fine now. I'll be here. Not
Okay.
going anywhere.
Okay, great. All right. So no problem if you have someone who wants to speak on that. No problem. Let's go. If there's no public comment within on anything, I would like to go on to our first motion. I'm just going to tell you that at committee, at the board Studio City Neighborhood Committee larger meeting, they asked us to revise our motion on the zoo expansion. I did a quick revised, but I don't know that this is what we want to do, and we should probably discuss we should discuss this. So right now I wrote that the Board of Studio City Neighborhood Council joins CFAC and Friends of Griffith Park and others in its support of Alternative 1, and also urges the council to take seriously the review and assessment made by California Department of Fish and Wildlife as the trustee agency in their comment letter regarding the DEIR for the Vision Zoo plan. Now, you'd have to read all of that, the Friends of Griffith Park letter, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, you'd have to read all that background, but basically I did some research and I included in the original minutes, I don't know if you saw them, and I can bring them up for everybody. Well, let's see if I can do this. I found two different drawings of what the zoo will look like if they do the full vision plan or if they do the Alternative 1. And because that was one of the questions that Jeff Hardwick had asked, he couldn't find that, so he wanted us to look at that. So let me see if I can, do you have the, I'll find it, hold on. Sorry, it's gonna take me a minute. Melanie, can you just talk a little bit about the difference between the full vision zoo plan and the alternative one?
Well, I mean, the difference in the impacts are, they're just not expanding a particular new fun zone, I guess, a rock climbing wall. Not something you generally find at zoos who are committed to habitat, biodiversity, species preservation. But alternative one does not include the fun zone. And it also does not add a brand new multi-story parking structure on top of the existing parking lot. So those are the two key differences. All of the other elements in the zoo plan are consistent across, pretty consistent across the board. So it's not like you're going to lose out on zoo renovations or other improvements to visitor experience at the zoo. You're just not going to have a fun zone and I think it's a 4-story parking lot. So the fun zone is what expands into the native habitat areas of Griffith Park. They would expand the zoo footprint out into the existing habitat, which includes, species of concern. And then they would build a big parking lot.
So if you
Okay.
look on, can you see on the screen, Melanie?
Yeah, it just came up.
So this beige area here, which I'm circling, is the existing native habitat. And then this area over here is also existing. And over here, all the gray, this sort of color, weird color, is the existing native habitat. This is the current parking structure. And then, so what they would do is they would expand and renovate all of the zoo areas, which are in green, I believe. And the administration area gets renovated here, which is in yellow, here, and here. So this is the alternative one plan, which upgrades the zoo, but doesn't, build a, well, here, look, it doesn't do this. This is the bigger plan. So in this plan, they would build they would create vineyards here, where I guess this is where the parking lot was. And then they create a parking structure here. And it'll probably go underground. Is that right, Melanie?
The vineyard, no, it isn't. The vineyards are still parking. They're just vegetating the parking, which they
Got
can
it.
easily do in the other plan as well. This is not underground. This is, I believe it's a 4-story parking structure.
Oh, going up. Okay.
Mhm.
And then all this area, which is now native woodlands, is going to be, I think there's a climbing wall.
Yeah.
It's more, it's mostly for things that are like, I don't know the word for it, rides, they're like a zoo, like a theme park kind of thing. It's all the animal areas pretty much stay the same and get upgraded, which is the same in alternative one. But you see this area here is there, you see that area there is woodland, and here it becomes something not clear what exactly, but some, nature play park, world aviary, rainforest. It's not as much a zoo as it is a kind of looking.
The intent was to compete with Magic Mountain and Disneyland, to provide that sort of experience without having people leave the city for tourists, specifically tourists coming to the Olympics.
And we're saying we don't like the attractions element to it.
Yeah, especially when it's not at the expense of native habitat.
Right. And so in the park business, they would refer to those as attractions as opposed to rides. It's sort of the umbrella term.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's a question that was asked of me, which I don't know, is what now, this is in Nitya Raman's district now. What is her take on the zoo expansion?
Well, it'd be good to ask.
We should ask, right?
Yeah.
And the city council, I think it's John Lee, Mike Bonin, and I forgot it was Ridley Thomas, but he got, he's in trouble. So somebody else were part of that. They have not met and have not formed any opinion as of yet. I did go through the council file, and the Sierra Club is for alternative 1. Verdugo Hills is for alternative 1. California Native Plant Society for alternative 1. Friends of Griffith Park for alternative 1. Central Group for alternative 1. Crescenta Valley for alternative 1. And then there's a bunch of CSIs from like Silver Lake, Atwater Village. And then there's one very strange thing for alternative 2, but then there's others that are against alternative 2, and alternative 2 is from my best I could understand it, it's more about not having cars drive up there, but having building infrastructure to have public transportation and so forth to go up there.
Which is what I would love to do, but we know how Studio City loves their cars.
Yeah. So I'm in a little quandary of what to do, because I just need to hear from all of you, and I think we do need to find out what Nitya wants. Where she.
How do you want to reach out to Nithya? Do you, as the chair, wanted to send an email to she or George?
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Let me just see if George is even on the phone. I mean, I'll
Okay.
just shoot him an email and ask him if there's a point of view. If there's something that's already there, he might be able to forward it.
Okay.
It seems like, the Native Plant Society and the Sierra Club are pretty big guns on something like this. And maybe Nithya should know that rather than asking what she wants. Maybe we should tell her what we want. I mean, I know I'm new on this, but it just seems to me like, I don't know. I personally have a thing with zoos being attractions rather than, what they're supposed to be, I think, which is related to conservation of animals.
Right.
And, potentially education, although that's debatable.
And also the Friends of Griffith Park is a pretty well-established advocacy group which focuses specifically on the park. So I agree with you, between California Native Plants, Friends, Sierra Club. I mean, other than in a utopian world, it'd be great to have mass transit. I'll give you that, Melanie. But I mean, in the immediate real world, we were all kind of recoiled at the fact that we don't need another amusement park. Plus, it all feels incongruous with the serenity of the environment for the animals. So let's go with the people that are the experts, particularly since we're leaning in that direction. And that's sort of where we ended up the first time before you did the rewrite, correct?
Yeah, I think that the challenge is this was pushed back to committee rather than just being thrown out. But there were several board members who I think would have preferred to just throw it out. Lots of conversation about, we love zoos. I love taking my kids to the zoo. I want the best zoo in the world. Zoos are awesome. Zoos are great. Zoos are wonderful. We want the best zoo in the world. So there seems to be a leaning from some strong seats on the board to not support a sustainable zoo. And I think the challenge is in making the argument to those folks if we come back with this motion rather than have another go around. I think we've seen sometimes in the past when there are things people just don't want to see change on, they'll, raise all kinds of non-issues and drive it into the ground. And I think it's just not worth spending time doing that. And I will just push back gently on the utopian world of fewer cars, given the IPCC's latest report. But
I'm with you with that, but I think that the infrastructure required to get a monorail or a train or something else.
it's not a monorail or a train. We have buses. We're going electric with our buses. The city just decided not to install the protected bike lanes that are in the mobility plan going through Griffith Park when they repaved Griffith Park Boulevard. So these are the kinds of willful actions that happen here when you don't have people pushing for a sustainable future, because a 6-lane highway through Griffith Park that's all asphalt and provides no safety for bicycles does nothing for us. And couching that as this is the way the world is, as opposed to better bus service with electric buses and protected bike lanes going through Griffith Park as utopian, I think is not helpful.
But we're talking specifically about the plans, and there were 3 options for the zoo. And I believe the plan that was leaning towards the mass transportation, wasn't there a monorail? I'm with you. I mean, if we made it a no car zone and there was a place where people had to park in the Hollywood Bowl parking lot and get over there by electric buses, great. But I don't think that was the proposal. The proposal, I believe, had pretty substantial infrastructure for some kind of rail.
That could be, and it could be simple to do, but I think the plan to build a 4-story parking structure and to widen and add road for cars is the antithesis of that. And that's one of the things on the table. So you have to push back to balance that one way or another. And we are asking this board not to support that, but we're asking this board to support alternative 1, which, yeah.
And it doesn't preclude them trying to figure out how to do less cars, because the alternative 1 doesn't provide that massive parking structure. It doesn't put that's not part of the zoo plan. And one of the things I have learned about electric cars and when it becomes economically feasible, in other words, when it becomes cheaper to have an electric car, everyone will have one. It's financially driven by people. That change happens because and that may be what will happen down the road, but the technology for self-driving electric cars is
nobody is talking self-driving, and I
know. I'm just
topic here.
That's the future.
Let's not get off topic.
But I just want to recognize Chris, because he's been patiently waiting with his hand raised, and then Brandon.
So just so I understand, the neighborhood council tossed the proposal back, which our proposal was to support Plan 1, Alternative 1, with a statement along with it on why we support Alternative 1. So they are asking us to rewrite the statement, or is it that they really just don't want to support Alternative 1 at all? Because that's what makes a difference.
That's a good question. Jeffrey Hardwick is here, and he was on the board, and he was someone who maybe he could speak to that. Also, Brandon was there too, and he raised his hand. So maybe Brandon could explain it.
Yeah, I can explain it. We didn't toss it. We sent it back to committee because there wasn't enough information. We wanted to see a map. There was no map. I like alternative one. But that wasn't what I wanted to ask. I don't know if anybody here can answer the question, but how much of the annual budget of the LA Zoo is from attendance, and how much of it is provided by the city? Because if they're expanding to become, an attraction, almost like a theme park of sorts, is it because they want to be a world-class zoo, or is it because they need to bring in more revenue to sustain themselves? Does anybody have that answer?
It wasn't framed as a need for revenue. It was framed as we're hosting the Olympics and we need to provide an attraction for visitors. Yeah, that was flat out what the impetus behind this was. It's not an economically driven need. It is in order to provide an attraction, not a world-class zoo, but an attraction for out-of-town visitors, specifically during the Olympics.
I guess I'm a little confused too at why the map matters so much. I mean, the statistics were in there about how many trees were going to get cut down, native trees and all that stuff. So whether it's one location or another location, does that so much matter? The damage is still the damage, whether it's over here or over here. Which nobody
Brandon?
can answer because nobody's on the committee here. So, or I guess.
Brandon, did you no?
Oh
Brandon,
yeah, I didn't know if you were asking me that
Anybody.
directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the issue with the board, if I don't have my meeting minutes with me, but I think the concern with the board was you're talking about alternative one, but you're not comparing it to anything else. What were the other alternatives? Why is alternative one better than the other options? And because there was nothing visual we can look at to say, oh, okay, yes, obviously alternative one is the better option. I think that's why the board was a little confused as to why alternative one was the best. And I think I know Jeff discussed. He's got his hand up right now, so I'll be quick. I think it was just more information. I don't think they were shunning the motion. I don't think we were doing that. I think there's good stuff here. It's just there wasn't enough information.
Got it. Let me just finish off really quick. So one of the things that I think is absolutely critically important is unity. So whatever it takes, maybe not whatever, but whatever we need to do to get the neighborhood council to go with alternative one is critically important. Obviously, some of the big guns in town have gone with alternative one, which that speaks tons on its own. And I think if you have some places, like you said, there was some place that did alternative two that was kind of strange, that sort of blows up the message a bit. If it gets too confusing and there's too many people going different directions, it's all going to get cast off and it's too difficult. I don't know. I can't figure out why one person is here, why one person is there. If alternative one, everybody supports that, it's really hard to argue that that's not the best choice. So whatever we do to make alternative one be the supported one by the neighborhood council, I think that's pretty darn important.
Kira had her hand up for a while. Can you?
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to circle back to second, and I'm sorry, I didn't see who was speaking, but whoever said that you should tell Nithya what you think, because this came up months and months ago in the Sustainability Alliance. And I did contact her office several times to ask if they had taken a position on it. And there was a very vague statement about supporting the Friends of Griffith Park letter. So I think whatever you all decide to do, and hope with Brandon's guidance, and then you bring that back to the board and get that passed, I think that I would agree with that person's statement. You need to tell Nithya what you want and why. I hope that makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you, Kara. And Jeff?
Hi, a concern I had during the board meeting was there was only one perspective. It was alternative one is the best thing here. And we have the letter from the Friends of Griffith Park to back us up, blah, 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 blah. But for the stakeholders and other board members who don't know about the vision plan, there's nothing to compare it to. So I thought that it was best to have some kind of link to the vision plan, just so the board gets an idea of what alternative one is vis-a-vis the vision plan. That was all.
They should come and hang out at one of our meetings and then they'd know all about it.
Or they could do their homework.
Well, I'm not sure. That seems a little bit, I just want to ask you, Jeff, because in the motion, it talked, the first paragraph was about what do you call it? The zoo expansion, what it was about. And then it went into the vision plan, and then using the Friends of Griffith Park letter as backup, that had more detail than I could possibly put in a motion. I sort of don't understand what you want. It's not clear. And it also felt like people were saying, we want the zoo to be, we like the zoo vision plan, the whole thing. Did I misunderstand you?
No, I just thought the links and whatnot were not to the vision plan itself. And the council file wasn't very clear about what the vision plan entailed. And I Googled, I did my own search, and I found, I think it's the Bureau of Engineering did a kind of a PowerPoint presentation about it. So that's all I was saying was, I think there needs to be, everything needs to be in context for there to be an informed decision about whether alternative one is better than the vision plan.
Okay. Brandon?
Yeah, this discussion reminds me of the movie Margin Call, where Jeremy Irons says, "Speak to me as though I'm a golden retriever or a small child." There's a lot of people on the board that really don't attend these meetings. I do, Jeff does, Scott does. But a lot of them are just kind of wake up once a month and decide, I'm going to go to the board meeting, and they don't do their homework. So you have to speak to them like they're small children. You have to show them, why is alternative one the best plan? Don't just say, well, these guys say it's good. That's not good enough for a lot of people. You actually have to compare it to other plans and say, this is why this is the best plan, because this plan does this, this, and this, and we don't like this. We like alternative one because it doesn't do that. And get something clicking in their minds. Like Jeff said, the links that they can click on the link and say, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. You have to kind of put it in plain English, so to speak, to a lot of people on the board, because they don't do their homework and they don't show up to these committee meetings. And you have to take that into account whenever you're presenting a motion to them. You have to spell it out as simply and as efficiently as possible. So that's all I have to say about that.
And can I ask you, I think what this committee did, absent the map, absent the visuals, but I think what this committee did was try very much to do just that, coming from a sustainability committee perspective, saying that this plan for these reasons was preferred, looked at from climate resilience and sustainability and biodiversity and habitat, the things that we're talking about in our committee. And here are the differences, here are the reasons, here's what we stand to lose unless we do either alternative one or two. And we're going with, a lot of experts and recommending alternative one, because we stand to lose these resources if we don't. And I think we tried to do that. I agree we didn't have a map, but I'm trying to compare this to discussions about, developments and things that go on. And not everybody who doesn't go to the land use committee meeting sees every exhibit, nor are they brought up. It's sort of like, trust us, this is our thing, and people go along with it. But this seems to be different somehow. I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, how much detail to present when sustainability is usually given the least amount of time at the board meetings? How do we find that balance?
I think there's potentially an issue too, if you go and enumerate the points of every single option and why or what's good about it, what's bad about it, it's going to end up being a 50-page document, and that is guaranteed to turn pretty much everybody off.
Yeah.
Too. So
Yeah.
simplicity is required.
But I
But
thought
enough
we
information
threaded that
too.
needle, but I think I guess I'm hearing we didn't, so I'm not
Right.
sure.
So maybe what I'll do, what I think I'm gonna do, because we're not gonna get to, we're not gonna get to write the perfect motion tonight. We're gonna have to write it, figure it out, put it together, bring it back to committee to vote on it, and then send it on to the.
Can I add something really quick since I
Yeah.
am on the board?
Mhm.
You don't have to compare it to all the other alternative maps. Just explain why it's the best. What is it not doing or is doing that the others aren't? Is it are less trees being cut down? Is it cheaper, or why is it because I think the answer is they're going to do something. You know, something's going to be done to the LA Zoo no matter what. They're not going to not do anything. They're going to do something for the Olympics, as Melanie stated. So this is like the lesser of the evils, I would think. This is the best solution because they're going to do something, but based on the other maps that you've seen, this is the least intrusive of them. Am I getting that correct? It's the least
Yes.
intrusive to wildlife and to the natural habitat?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, then say that. Straight
Isn't that
out.
what
Say,
we
you know,
wrote in the motion?
Yeah.
I-
well, it was a
thought
long
we-
motion.
I thought we did that.
It was. It was.
No,
Keep it
but
simple,
that's
keep it
what I
simple.
would like, what I would
Guys,
like is for
guys, we're-
Brandon.
Small children. Keep it simple.
Hey,
Keep it
Brandon.
really simple.
I thought we had, but I appreciate what you're saying. So perhaps between this meeting and the next, you can help to do that. You can take a look at the motion that we originally presented. You can let us know how it failed, and you can help us to create something that you feel will succeed with this board.
Yeah, I can help you guys with that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Great. We'll do that because there's no, I mean, we all agree that alternative one is the best. And if you haven't read through the city council file, go ahead and do it. The EIR or the DEIR and the plan is over 1,000 pages long. It's quite the document to read. So, I think that was Jeffrey's frustration too. He looked at it and went, I can't fucking figure this out, So, and that's why I found those two maps, which very much do show what the vision, the big vision plan is and what alternative one will do for the zoo. So we'll just rewrite it and, bring it back to committee to pass it and, hash it out and then send it back to the whole board. Okay. So we don't need to vote on that, do we? Need to vote on that? No. All right. So our next motion.
So for purposes of the notes, I'm going to say that we're going to go back, rewrite the document, include some visuals with some notations on the visuals that provide greater context to the text.
Yep.
Okay.
This next motion, shall I put it up on the thing? Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. If you read it before the meeting, this is on council, discussion and possible motion on council file 21-1470. And this is written, this was submitted by Diana Nicole, and I'll read the motion, we can discuss it, and then we can decide if we're going to bring it forth. The Studio City Neighborhood Council strongly supports Council File 21-1470 for an ordinance to amend city code to ensure the city provide the right of first refusal for the purchase of city-owned surplus property in the Santa Monica Mountains to the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy as required by state law. City of Los Angeles is the owner of many environmentally sensitive parcels in the Santa Monica Mountains, including land that contains the highest concentration of biodiversity, habitat for protected species, as the local mountain lion, protective native trees, and sensitive natural woodlands. In the past, the city has sold these parcels off for development. This practice is in opposition to a conservation and environmental standpoint and conflicts with state law, which provides that the resource agencies such as Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy should be provided the first opportunity to acquire these parcels for permanent preservation of open space. We agree with the committed comment submitted to the file by Claw. It is important that the city never again make such short-sighted attempts to sell away and develop irreplaceable city-owned land, which has an inherent value and long-term benefit for the well-being of the environment and all Angelinos. We urge the city council to approve this ordinance to be submitted as a community impact statement. So just before we go into a discussion of it, I just want to say that along Ventura Boulevard, Sunswept, which is a natural habitat with 55 black walnuts and over 50 toyon trees and a handful of coast live oaks. And you know it's between Whitsett and Coldwater on the south side of the street, was sold to a developer by our city council member, and for the price of, I think, what is it, shoring up the bridge that is there, because there's a bridge along Sunswept, and that natural habitat is going to be destroyed by that developer. And a I don't know how many story, 4-story or something, multi-use building put in there. And I think that the Santa Monica Conservancy or one of those groups at one point wanted to buy that and make it a, keep it a park, keep it a natural woodland, and it was not offered to them, but it was offered to a developer. So I think that's what this motion is trying to prevent all around the city, that we're just going to take, native woodlands that exist and have existed for many years and years. I mean, for a long time, and sell them to developers. And then we're just going to have, overdevelopment and no trees left. That's my fear anyway. So any discussion or comments, please?
I second the motion, and maybe Brandon can help make sure that it's dumb enough.
You second? Everyone, do you want to discuss it at all, or just seconding? Chip?
I think it's pretty straightforward that we're trying to go to conservation groups as a preferred outcome before we go to developers. I think it's fairly straightforward and doesn't need to be said. And it's just stunning that what happened with that parcel in Sunswept happened the way it did.
Mhm.
Curious, is there like details in how it works with, like if a conservationist or some group wants to purchase it, do they have to offer a competitive bid? Do they have to bid against the developer, or? Because if
They
they
have
offer
the-
$5 and the developer offers 10 million, well, yeah.
No, it has to be competitive, but they have the right of first refusal, basically.
So is there a chance that the conservation groups or the logical choices to conserve the area is going to be able to competitively bid with the developers?
We have a pretty well-off conservancy and,
Yeah.
and
It's really a question. I'm not going anywhere with it. I'm just kind of curious what the dynamic is. So if they can come close, that should be good enough.
yeah, I mean, you can take a look at their history of acquisition in the mountains, so.
Then it's
Brandon?
self-explanatory. Yeah.
Brandon?
Yeah, wasn't it the same issue with Hadid and Franklin Canyon? He was building a bunch of houses at top of one of the trails at Franklin Canyon, and I think the conservatory wanted to buy the land, and I don't think it was just, I don't know if they were outbid by Hadid, but something happened over there. But this sounds very similar to what you were talking about regarding Sunswept. I don't know if that's the case or not, but.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get, they did not give him, he wanted to buy part of the trail there, and they didn't give it to him anyway. And now I happen to play tennis at a friend's court, and right above her court is the thing he was building, and it stopped because he ran out of money. So he already wrecked the hill and tore down a whole bunch of trees and disturbed the wildlife. It's a night, and it's just sitting there sort of disturbed and not going anywhere. So it would be really, it's a great idea to ask conservancy, organizations first before going to developers who, don't have conservation in mind. But Tony.
This may be a very stupid question, but I guess I don't understand how the city is putting up public land for sale. I mean, it just seems to me like if it's owned by the city or the public, that should be a bit of a process, and that they shouldn't be selling public land, especially in those kinds of areas. I get it if it's privately owned land, but public land, I don't know. Does anybody?
They do it all the time, and if a council member wants something to happen, it's going to happen. They can characterize it as, they have what they call surplus lands. There are often motions about what to do with surplus lands, how to prioritize surplus lands, and then council members, there are numerous ways council members can just choose to take a piece of city property and ensure that it gets into someone's hands for one thing or another if they choose. It's just welcome to LA.
What I found that happens is, how do I say this? They broker a deal for a piece of land because they get the developer to do something for them that they don't want to spend city money on building an infrastructure, right? So they don't want to, I don't know, put new pipelines down for, well, whatever. And so if they'll say, well, if you do that, we'll let you have this piece of land. And I also saw did you show me this, Melanie, or was it Diana Nicole? There's an old like official city thing about selling, own a piece of LA, and it said you could buy any piece of LA for 87. Okay, I'm bad with numbers. So 87,000,000. It's like that. That's a lot. No, I think it was 87,000. Like it was a set number. You could just buy it for that amount. But it's an old, it seems kind of, it was an old like memo. but it's called buy a piece of LA. That's what the motion is addressing. So I think it's a practice that they've been doing for a while. It's just a lot of people don't want to buy a hillside with a bunch of toyon trees and walnuts on it because it's hard to build. And now they're figuring out ways to do that. And yeah, so.
There have also been times when our city budget is so bad that various council members propose, open up our surplus property lists and start making money that way. It's just things come and go, but
Yeah.
But resource lands that have, value for ecosystem function, biodiversity, habitat, things like that should not be included.
So is this motion seem suitable to you? Can we call for a vote? It was seconded by Melanie. Is that right?
Yeah.
Seconded by Melanie, brought by Diana Nicole, seconded by Melanie. Are you okay with the grammar of it, Chip?
I think it's been changed. It's perfect now. Love it.
Brandon,
Okay.
is it okay with you? As our filter?
Brandon?
It's fine.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I
All
don't know-
right.
I don't know if fine is what we're shooting for, but okay.
I don't know, man. You have the posted up in your Zoom thing. Wasn't sure if that was a message or not.
It's not dumb enough.
Yeah.
I was quoting your dog, Melanie. I look at that face of your really cute dog. And I'm like, boy, that dog's got some things to say.
Yeah, always.
All right, call for a vote. All in favor of sending this motion as a CI? All in favor of the motion?
So Adele, Chip, Melanie, Chris. Okay, I'm sorry. So it looks like
Jesse,
we're
everyone.
unanimous.
Unanimous. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Adele, can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
In the second paragraph, can the grammar be fixed? This practice is in opposition. Right now it just says this practice is opposition.
Okay, let me just see.
Good catch.
This practice is in opposition. Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Mhm. All right.
And this, Adele, you captured in here the changes that Diana had sent out, right? With that whole email exchange that was going back and forth.
No, I did not. No, I did not. She didn't change it. She I don't think.
Let me take a look.
She was just arguing for her.
No, I thought that she had changed the, let me
Sentence?
see.
No, it's. Mm-mm.
This is how this practice is extremely short-sighted from both a conservation and environmental standpoint and conflicts with state law, which provides that the resource agencies such as the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy should be provided the first opportunity to acquire these parcels for permanent preservation of open space.
That's what it reads. Mhm.
Well, this practice is, well, what we've missed here is extremely short-sighted from both a conservation. We've missed, this practice is extremely short-sighted.
I
Oh,
thought we got that.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? I'm sorry. Here, let me pull it. Let me put it up again. You know what? Hold on. I want to do it from my Word document so I can change it.
Yeah,
The short-sighted attempts is in now referenced from Claw. I think that was intended to take care of that notion, maybe.
well, it's the paragraph with the grammatical error that you picked up, Jesse. I believe that is supposed to read, this practice is extremely short-sighted from both a conservation and environmental standpoint and conflicts with state law, which provides that the resource agencies such as the Santa Monica Conservancy. So what we've missed here is this practice is extremely short-sighted.
Oh, you know what? I took out because in committee, I was scolded for emotional language. So I took out short-sighted because it's a judgment that I think
Okay,
they don't respond well to that.
then
That's-
I'm with Jesse. We should add in opposition.
Yeah. This practice is in opposition to a conservation, and see, I think the more factual you are, the
Okay.
more, yeah. And then you don't mind the dash which provides, because you were complaining about it being a run-on sentence. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. With the in there, it's not quite so bad. It's a run-on sentence, but let's go with it, although it's not dumb enough.
All right, so we have passed this motion. Cool. And I will forward this on to the whole
Okay.
CNC. So Alexander, did you want to do your presentation? Do you need me? I can make you a co-host and you can do sharing.
Sure. I'm new at this. This is my first, so help me out.
Well, if you don't, I can do it for you too.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you some items. We can start with the context. This is all regarding SB 1383. I sent you a couple of items you can put up if you'd like, starting with the timeline, the chronology of what the expectation is, the impact of SB 1383. And then I have a PowerPoint presentation I gave you that you could put up. So hello, everyone. What this is all regarding is an opportunity. I'm just going to throw this idea out there. It's kind of a wild one, but maybe it's a good one. If everybody can, in your browsers, go to the food cycler. It is a great item. Adele has one. I have one. The food cycler is an appliance that you can have in your home right now that works really well. I've had one for 3 years. I've put 2,500 pounds of food through the food cycler. It's a little $300 appliance that can take all your organic waste and turn it into a soil amendment in a matter of hours. The opportunity is I have been working with the company behind the appliance on a new appliance that's twice the capacity for a larger family. And I'm also working with Park La Brea, I guess it's one of the largest apartment complexes in the US, on this side of the US. They are considering a private label opportunity to have these appliances in every apartment in Park La Brea. And I wanted to throw the idea out that we have this as an opportunity for residents in Studio City. And upon purchasing one of these appliances, proceeds above the cost of the appliance would go to all the extra money. We could set that margin, go towards planting trees in Studio City or surrounding area, whatever we want to do with that funding. And we propose this. But anyway, so SB 1383 is a law that got started out back in 2016, as you can see. And it took effect this January. I have been talking to folks at LA Sanitation about the commercial and residential application of technology that will move everyone at their home and in a commercial business within the ability to turn all food, organic food waste, including things you don't normally put in a backyard compost, dairy, citrus, raw meat, items you would never compost normally, can go into this appliance, this technology. And so I'm working on several pilot programs with LA Sanitation commercial large units and also the smaller units in some smaller marginalized communities. One in particular opportunity is a Latino food court downtown Los Angeles is going to go with a commercial size, but maybe smaller individual ones for the little restaurants. We're still looking at the opportunity, but if you could, Adele, put up the presentation that I have recently put together for Park La Brea. Is everybody familiar with Park La Brea? It's a very large apartment complex, center of Los Angeles. I'm doing a presentation to their board there, and I work directly with LA Compost. LA Compost is a great nonprofit that has committed to, if any location that wants to get into a pilot program of creating organic matter, as in soil amendment. Remember, this is not compost. Once it gets in the ground, it becomes compost if you combine it with lawn clippings and other items that are already in the works in the ground. The opportunity is that the LA Compost will also come and pick up soil amendment, as in what comes out of these units, these food cyclers, and put them into a program that LA Compost is working on. So this is the presentation I've put together for Park La Brea, basically so that the residents of Park La Brea can effectively become partner, do SB 1383. They will now, each of them would, and this is a big opportunity for the waste hauler there to see diversion occur that SB 1383 is all about, which is getting food out of the landfills. The really quick answer to anybody's kind of wondering what the hell these technology can really do is it takes away the problem that happens when food rots in landfills. If you cap the landfill, great, you're capturing the methane, but most of the time it's not, it's going into the climate change problem. The technology takes away that methane problem by virtue of this quick pyrolic simple process the food cycler does. Anyway, the bottom line is Athens is a potentially going to be a partner in this, and between Athens and the folks at the administration level at the Park La Brea, they may just subsidize and purchase or give a very good incentive for all the residents of Park La Brea to purchase these food cyclers. Once again, this is basically, think of it as a countertop item. In this case, it's a 5. That there's a picture of it right there. You put all your food waste in this thing, and in 3 to 4 hours, it turns it into a basically, it looks like sawdust, and you can put it in the garden. You could put it in the green bin, but it's now taken 90% of the mass of whatever you put in it and reduced it to 10% of its mass by virtue of taking out water. It also bakes everything to 212 degrees so that everything is also burned down to, the pathogens, bacteria. So you can touch your food waste and handle it, and you're not going to get a problem with that. And it looks very different. So it's a lot of fun. So I'm just throwing the idea out there that, because I'm working, Food Cyclers, a company out of Canada, and they actually have several cities and towns actually private labeling this appliance and having everybody use it. And then in some cases, they have collection points, they have workshops, and I'm going to be doing workshops showing people how to use the food cycler. So I'm just throwing an idea out there that the minimum is 1,000 units. The unit could be private labeled to say Studio City is sustainability. And when we put that out there through Nextdoor, through whatever means we can, the residents in Studio City purchase one, and with that purchase, they'll get their unit. By the way, this unit also has an app, and you can talk to the user with a customizable, soft ability to talk to them about the metrics of what they're doing for Studio City, the planet, how to do things, other items that would be appropriate to be put in that same conversation. And as I said, definitely some money coming out of this with each sale of each person purchasing one, once we get that 1,000 level commitment, to say, look, the money that you've just paid for this, some whatever's not covering the cost of it is going to go to the Studio City Sustainability Committee, and we're going to be doing great things for Studio City. One of the great things to do is somehow make this shift from our ridiculous palm trees to some seriously great trees, and the education that Anthony Knight can bring to us, and other things that we can do through the food cycler, and all of this as a narrative, defining that narrative, and in this case, taking on this new law, this SB 1383. So there you have it. Any questions? Any ideas?
I don't think.
Maybe it's a wild one. I don't know. I mean, we're going to start with Park La Brea and maybe other communities.
I think it's a great idea. I don't think that the neighborhood council can be in the business of
Right.
selling something and making money and
And
then
something else.
but
Maybe I mean,
we're more in the business of what creating awareness and education, and like supporting the church on the Unitarian church there.
yeah,
has
no,
compost.
the one that's got the compost going on right here in
They
the
have a
corner. Yeah.
composting going
Yeah.
on, and sort of creating awareness about things. So I think it's a good product. I mean, I love my composter thing. It's awesome. And it's helped me create a real compost pile, which I've been trying to do for years. And it's very hard to have a good compost pile, very difficult. But I've finally, with the help of the composter, I really was able to do it, because everything just sat there and didn't really rot and didn't, it just was a big mess forever. So this has really been great. But, I think that, it's a good idea. I just think the neighborhood council, the sustainability committee can make it as a recommendation. We can't sell it,
Or some other woods. Yeah, I mean, I'm working with LA Sanitation on a couple of ideas that would approach also the waste haulers and see what their take is. Maybe the waste hauler would just simply be doing the private labeling, and the way they're going to pitch it to the residents that they deliver or they pick up from. I'm working with I'm pitching it to some of these high mountain communities, Lake Tahoe, Arrowhead Lake Arrowhead, where they have animal trash conflict, and people have second homes, and deal with food in the trash all the time. That also brings in bears and other problems. But here in Studio City, I'd rather do something bigger than just compost at a church. I think this is about building new habits and giving people a real opportunity to partake in something that's the law. But I don't know how to do it. I'm just bringing this up as an idea. We can see how it works with some of these pilot programs and just wait and see.
Let's see what Melanie has to say.
I was going to recommend that you, get land use committee. So whenever there is a new development happening here, new residential development, you should get this in front of any proposed multifamily units and encourage them to have this installed as part of the amenities. New residential developments, by the time they get approved, are likely going to be required to have electric instead of gas equipment, for instance. They're going to have to comply with their waste haulers requirements on food. This makes that compliance a lot easier for those new developments, that kind of thing. So maybe getting connected up with proposed residential developments that are happening in the valley might be one way to get a new, to get that out there more. That's just a thought. What's the price point on these, Alex?
It's gonna be the current one that Adele has, that I have, that if you go online right now, you put in Food Cycler. And by the way, it's called the Vitamix took it over and sells it, but Food Cycler also sells it. It's just licensed to Breville, which is an appliance company in Europe. And it varies between $2.99 and $3.99. But
Thanks.
that's the current smaller one that's really for an apartment, people who don't have a garden, or people who, whatever, it's a small unit. The next size up will be under $500. It may be about $300, $350 before something's added to it to cover the cost of, like I'm trying to point out, an opportunity to raise funding for a really great tree education program. I mean, I can probably, I'm trying to work this into an opportunity for nonprofits to have this item and then use it as a fundraiser. So the price point to the final end user would be somewhere around $400, maybe. It'd be under $500. I mean, it's a forever product. It's solid aluminum cast that you can dishwash. It's amazing. And there's some real junk.
It's like a Vitamix. It's about the same price.
No, it is the Vitamix. It's the
no. I'm just saying price wise and
oh, the blender thing.
Longevity. Yeah. It's like that. Okay, thanks.
$450.
I don't think that there's anything that the neighborhood council can do other than,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that helps me find out what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
There's an idea.
And so you were also going to do a presentation on leaf blowers.
Well, here's the deal, folks. So I've been reaching out to Steel. As you may know, Steel used to have a program that was a program where the leaf blower folks out there, the gardeners with their leaf blowers, didn't necessarily get rid of or have to turn in their old ones, but they've got a I've been reaching out to the Steel folks. As you guys know what Steel is, it's the chainsaw company. They have
STIHL for
STIHL. So Steel and Ace Hardware are trying to create a program that will move to where we're supposed to be, I think, pretty soon, where all of these leaf blowers that are illegal, or going to be illegal, or I guess they are illegal, will get off the streets, because they're going to turn them in and get the new. And there's a really great all-day unit that has a battery pack that can be used for that unit for a landscape blower to use all day and not run out of juice. And he can use that same battery pack, which will be on his back, for several other items he'll have in his arsenal. But it costs money. So Steel is trying to bring down that cost, or work with local communities as to how maybe homeowners can, and I haven't come up with any great scenario yet, but I'm working on it. Homeowners could put in, and if just 25 or 50 bucks a homeowner, after 50 homeowners for each gardener put in, that gardener gets his new electric leaf blower that is a lot less loud, a lot quieter, but no more smoke and all that horrible reason we were getting rid of these leaf blowers. And but the biggest issue is, how do we get rid of the old ones? And I'm working with Steel is, can we get them so that they've got to turn in the old unit when they get the new unit? That's the big moment. It's like a buyback gun program. You want to get the old leaf blower out of their truck when they get their new one, so they don't have both. That's
So
the
the battery pack is like $1,500, right?
The battery pack is $1,400. There's two leaf blowers that'll last all that are absolutely useful. Can fit the mold. One in particular is about $400. So it's about a $2,000 purchase.
Yeah,
it's $2,000, but we're trying to. I've been talking to Steel, and if anybody knows, there's one up on Van Owen and Laurel Canyon. That Steel dealer there, he's really on top of this. And the Ace Hardware by Costco on Sepulveda, the folks at Ace Hardware are trying to come up with something as well. Those are the only two places, by the way, you can buy Steel. You can't buy this leaf blower at Home Depot. Steel is a they know their game. They're selling only in certain outlets, and they're trying to figure out how they can make this work for these gardeners who we all use and we've all got and we all share. How do we get those gardeners that $2,000, and these homeowners who could handle it in a heartbeat come together and buy it and get that old blower, especially that blower, off the truck, and the trimmer, and hopefully the lawnmower. So I'm still working on it. I don't have answers yet.
Mhm.
Any
Tony?
questions or any ideas?
Tony has something to say.
I was just gonna say, we used something like those in the school district where I was, and we just bought them. The state has an unbelievable amount of money right now, like never before. And I don't understand why, like they pass a law like this, why they don't, for example, provide an incentive for people, to provide them to gardeners, for free, or, in return for getting another one, or for a very small price, whatever it happens to be. It was in the realm of the state to provide that right now. I mean, I don't know about how much money the city has or the county, but the state of California has a surplus that's like $70 billion of money sitting around. They've got so much money sitting around, they're passing the GAN limit, and they're going to have to give that money back to people just in tax rebates. So it seems to me like maybe this might be something to talk to, our state representatives about, some kind of a program that the state puts its money where its mouth is, related to the laws it's passed, related to CARB and all the other kinds of things. These things are going to be illegal to buy after 2024, 2025, I think it is. But it doesn't say about the existing ones in that law, I don't think. And, these things, people can make them last for 20 years. So they're not going away. So
You got to get them off the streets. It's like a gun.
you got to
get
give
it off
them an
the street.
incentive. And these gardeners are not going to go out and spend $2,000 on a new leaf blower when the other one works perfectly fine, maybe even better.
Like internal combustion engines.
So anyway.
Any internal combustion engine, including vehicles, they're still available to be sold, and they last a long time. And it's just that doesn't add up with what we've got to get done.
I'm pitching it to Richard Bloom's office in Sacramento and his chief of staff, the idea of a buyback. And like you said, he's on top of a pretty big chunk of change up there. So that's the only person I've been in touch with, and I've actually met with on some other issues.
It'd be a great coup to do that, to get them to buy them back. I mean, that would
We
be
need them. I don't want to give them money. Don't give them anything unless you get the old one. Got to get the old one.
Mhm. It's true, because they'll just do both.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll keep plugging away at it. Pun intended.
Is there any way to get, I don't even know, is there any way to get a bill, or is there any way to have the state do an incentive program to buy back the blowers?
Well, as Mr. Knight mentioned, it's about the money.
But I mean, how do we do that? How do we set that up?
I don't know. There's a lot of folks coming in, and Mr. Bloom is trying to get a new position, I guess, city council, right? You've got people vying for some different positions. The mayor's office may have access to some of those funds. I don't know.
Chip?
Is the new law statewide, or is it a county regulation?
What's state? It's state.
Okay.
It's state. Just like the SB 1383, these are all these bills know this is a process. So we're all trying to get to where we're going to have our new bins, or our new way of dealing with our food waste. We're going to have hopefully a way to get these leaf blowers out, but it's statewide.
How does the DWP set up their program when they offer people money back to take out their lawn? How'd that happen?
Yeah, that's the turf program. God, I used to know all that one too, because
Chip?
But they also give you money for appliances too. I mean, there's a lot of rebate programs out there.
Mhm.
Yeah, they still got the pool pump programs, but that's just regional, and LADWP is small.
And
SCE
toilet, and the toilet program. too.
Yeah, like SCE has become real stingy about that because I'm in the solar business and solar world, and SCE is not doing well at all as far as helping people get rid of old electrical use appliances. They're just steering people to a website with a bunch of links to say, here's a deal on a used pool pump. The pool pump program is a big example because people have these old behemoths that are running 1500 watts for 8 hours instead of 300 watts. But LADWP is small compared to the bigger picture. I don't know. We need, this is where Ramen can help. I don't know. Or folks at county supervisor's office. Which
Like that would be right up the alley of the food cycler also, something like that, an incentive program that's offered.
Yeah.
by-
Yeah,
by-
LA Sanitation is taking the lead right now on it, and LA Compost and LA and a couple other groups. And right now we're just trying to get a pilot program. The new size that Adele doesn't have, that I don't have yet, I'll have soon. I'll have a version of it. I mean, I'll have one example of it. It will be available mid-year, and there are whole cities in Canada that are now completely adopting these food cyclers. And by the way, there's a lot of junk coming out on Indiegogo and on the internet, the Lomi, other ones that are crap. I worked with Whirlpool on the Zara project. I had 2 Zaras, $1,000 food cyclers. They were just, if you go to ZERA online right now, you'll see it says sold out. It's not sold out. They shut the whole project down. And that's how hard it is to do this. Food Cycler has done it for 7 years, 8 years, and it works beautifully.
Hmm.
So.
Okay. Are there, do we want to go through our committee reports on certain things? Let me go, sorry. I would like to work, maybe I can start to work with Tony on, we wanted to do a, I have these door hangers. You can't see them. I'll bring one over to you. There are notice of protected trees on property to hang on people's doors when you see a property has turned hands, and then they're gonna, do some kind of construction there, and to let people know that there's trees that they shouldn't cut down. But that was, and I was thinking about trying to do a door hanger on, now it seems sort of ridiculous, but on the synthetic lawns that people are putting in and how bad they are. Like, and maybe it should, not just be about how bad they are, but about, as an educational way to educate people about synthetic lawns. But maybe it should be not just that. Maybe it should be a whole, idea of sustainability. And a door hanger, they're kind of, this is a very nice one, and they're awesome. And I think they would help just educate people in Studio City about sustainability issues, So I'd like to work with you, Tony, on something, on an idea. And there is money in the neighborhood council budget to say, like, if we were, to pay for the printing of it, and maybe pay for people to walk around and put them on people's doors and that kind of thing. And so we could create something like that. But maybe I'm thinking too small when I think about the lawns. That's not the only sustainable issue that could be.
Adele?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Tony from Claw has mentioned maybe he could come on at some point and talk.
Mhm.
And in that case, in that scenario, you can bet Claw would love us to put on something about the poison issue that, that's not hard for people to maybe sound off on, that they see a neighbor or somebody with goddamn rat poison, and the whole rodenticide issue, and that's to me, that's one of the, it's besides trees, it is an absolute must. And Tony, I don't know, he can talk about, issues we've talked about with the clause involved with from the zoo to the hillside development. Tony Tucci,
Yep.
Tony,
Yep.
and he's got things to say about the Harvard Westlake, so he's available, maybe get
Okay.
on his good side.
Let's, maybe we can invite him to our next meeting.
That would be one thing I would absolutely throw in there. The other would be what you can do to comply with 1383. Yeah, that'd be great. A door hanger from our end of things, just educating people would be great.
Yep. It's gonna be hard to write, so. Yeah, great. So shall we go through, Chip, did you have something? Sorry.
Yeah, we've actually kicked around the, and I don't think it's too small. We've kicked around the ground cover idea. And I think that it would make some sense just to give a point of view on turf, properly irrigated, properly maintained turf, DG, pebbles, concrete, synthetic turf. Lay out the pluses and minuses of all of those. I don't think it would be inappropriate at all for the sustainability committee to come up with a conversation starter with that. And I think that would certainly be used with, a bunch of other issues that are going on with the development that use potentially acres of synthetic turf. So I think that would be a good idea. The other thing, right before we started, I got a next door notice. I don't know if you know Cantura, which is the street behind sort of Arts Deli that runs parallel to Ventura. There are trees there that I believe are London plane trees, not sycamores. So they're not technically natives, but Krikorian had them protected from development. There was some mansionization going on there. And the first thing they did was took out the 50, 70-year-old, however old they were, London plane trees, still called sycamores. There's a new house that is about to be raised, a new 1920s bungalow that's about to be raised with obviously another one of these giant, two-story attached garage things. And the petition in next door has Krikorian's motion and also has a plea to the developer to not take the tree down. Is that something we would like to get involved in as a committee, or is that a land use issue?
What would our involvement be exactly?
Do we just want to support them in keeping the existing, old growth trees, so to speak?
Yes, I do.
I'll shoot it to you and we can take a look and see. Melanie, it's Liza that put this together from the Slow Streets group.
If you want to send it to me too, I'll send it over to CFAC.
Okay, let me see if I can forward. I'll probably have to just cut and paste from next door. I'm not sure if I can forward next door, but I'll shoot that out. But the fact that there is a relic of positivity in terms of the fact that there was this ordinance, which I believe only protected that street, but maybe that's something we can look at as a template moving forward. Are there other streets with well-established canopies that we want to protect?
Right.
So
there was recently the Historic Society, whatever, the HCM, they nominated the trees along Magnolia, I call them the grandfather trees that along Magnolia in front of North Hollywood High, to be historic trees, and it passed. It passed at city council level. It was kind of awesome because those trees are so majestic and so beautiful. And then the North Hollywood High has a couple of those trees on their property in front of the school on Colfax, I guess that is. And they wanted to declare those also historic, but they can't because they're on the property of North Hollywood High. Those other ones on Magnolia are street trees. So, but they're now protected. But there is precedent to declare that tree a historic landmark, because it's, it already has been protected once by Paul Krikorian, and yeah, so that we maybe should look into that on
And
that.
maybe that's where we start the conversation about agitating for the urban canopy.
Yep. Tony, did you have something to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, going back to the flyers idea, I would love to help with that. And I think that a lot of people in our area, I don't think they know about the sustainability committee, and that maybe, making sure that even the residents, the SCRA, which I know we're not part of that, but I think that, they would probably put things in the newsletter if we wanted to, that goes to a lot of people in Studio City and maybe even the other areas around here. And then I get this newspaper that goes on my driveway every once in a while. It's got interesting, there's one this week, and maybe something in there. It seems like most of that's from Encino, but there are little tidbits in there that could be of use. And maybe we could, they probably would put stuff in there for free for us. If the committee has some kind of gravitas to it, and letting people know about it would be a good thing.
Yep. Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Kira?
Was anyone in this meeting right now involved in the last time we did a sustainability fair?
No.
Okay, so prior to COVID.
I was, yeah.
Oh, yay.
Sorry.
Yay. The cute dog is talking. Yeah, prior to COVID, we had done a joint between Sherman Oaks and Studio City, and I wanted to do that again. I don't remember what year COVID started, because my brain stopped working, but I don't think we'll be able to do that this year, but possibly maybe in the future. But what I am pushing for now, we're doing a tree giveaway event. I don't remember the date in April, but what I'm pushing for now is to have all these kinds of ideas that you're talking about that people do wrong. And I don't know about being golden retrievers or whatever, but I think there's a lot of people that just, maybe they don't know what they're doing wrong. They don't know there's a better way to do it. So what I'm pushing for now with the tree giveaway is to have LA SAN and those kinds of groups be available. And one trick that I learned is, actually I learned this from LA Sanitation, because they do the one drop buckets, and they make these little worksheets for kids. Now all of a sudden the kids are at home bugging mommy and daddy, why are you wasting water? Why are you wasting water? And that's a great way to get people to change, in my opinion. But I will definitely be reaching out to you all again when we solidify the tree giveaway. If anyone has any contacts or ideas of people who should be there, because I think it all kind of goes together. So thank you.
Thanks, Kira.
And
Kira, could you just tell me where you're from, or who you work for, or what you're?
Oh, I'm on Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay.
Sorry about that. My apologies.
That's all right. I just didn't know.
I recognize a lot of people from other groups. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's okay. I mean,
Yeah, but this is going back, the sustainability fair. Melanie, do you even remember when that is? Because it must have been 4 or 5 years ago now. And I thought it would be cool to revive it.
Yeah.
To have a fun event. You can have face painting and crap like that for kids, but also have these tables, like all of the ideas that you were just previously discussing.
It's a lot of work, and Lisa did a great job she used to chair sustainability, and she did a great job of organizing it several years running. And they're a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. It's a big effort. But I imagine some of you here probably attended without remembering that that's what you were going to. Yeah, Anthony. It's a lot of work, but it has some success, and there's an awful lot for us to get out there in the world. So it'd be good to do.
Mhm.
Adele, just mentioned for the flyer, just for the record, for the minutes of all this, that if a flyer starts to get in the works, that we think of it as also an opportunity to reach out, not just to people, residents, but the gardeners who are in so many ways a part of Studio City's sustainability that the homeowners employ, and how homeowners can reach out and start to understand more about their gardeners, particularly the issue of the higher the grass, the deeper the roots. So if the grass is grown twice as high, and if they mulch it, leave the clippings, leave the clippings. Stop taking away the clippings, and less blowing and going means more compost, more nitrogen, and means save water. If you're gonna not change your lawn out for some better things, so many better things, then at least cut it half as much and leave the clippings, and do that visually. So you've got grass going higher, deeper, and people can see the water and the shade that you get when you have higher grass. And then the clippings are left, and they protect the grass, and they absorb the water, and they absorb the heat. And you can't do that with artificial grass. And it's a visual. So even if you're just walking by and you see this door hanger, you go, that's a great idea. And the gardeners see it, maybe mention it to the homeowner, and the homeowner and the gardeners begin to talk to each other. And maybe that's a moment also we go into the leaf blower opportunity for the homeowner to engage their gardener and say, I hear you're, or we just, I don't know how we can play out an opportunity for the leaf blower conversation to get louder and louder. And then homeowners go, you know what? Can I put in for a new leaf blower
Mhm.
for their gardener? And by the way, can you stop taking away the clippings? Leave the clippings. Either spread it out of your bag or get a mulch mower that mulches the grass, and stop coming so often. Stop blowing and going, and stop cutting the grass so much. Let it grow high. We're going to have a hottest summer on record, folks. The hottest summer on records, and they're still going to cut the grass low, and they're still going to take the clippings that could save the water and save these stupid lawns. Anyway, so just somehow we can put that in the flyer would be great.
Lots to do. So did you ever, you didn't do a one sheet on composting, you did the,
Yeah, I mean, I can bring that down to something else. I just wanted to throw that idea out. Now what I can do is just go really simple and clean. I have to be careful because I'm trying not to sell a product, but
Right.
this does come down to the appliance that I got you one, and I have one, and I don't know anybody else is going to get one or has one. So you're SB 1383 compliant. But the bottom line is it's a product you can buy. It's like a toaster oven, except it's a little more expensive, but it works forever. You can pack that thing. You can open it up anyway, it's great to have one.
I think it's really difficult on, product aside, it's difficult to do a one sheet on the program right now. I've listened to Alex give 2 presentations on this, and it's still in such flux, and it's not inclusive of all residences. It's all, some single family homes, some are on a different schedule, different approaches to things, different options. They're not really sure. They don't know what's happening with multifamily yet. They can't commit to it. So it's really hard to do a one sheet for general population on what people need to do, because the guidance hasn't really gelled.
Well, the onus is on LA San and Waste Management. Waste Management is now officially rolling out new bins for Topanga residents. They're rolling out. I just got an email from the top of Topanga community, and they're all getting bins. WM is doing this bin program that.
But we're not under Waste Management in Studio City. We have
we're not.
Smaller, so and that's Topanga. It's not multifamily units, and it's
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. LA San they're frustrated. They're trying to figure it out. So they're trying to throw some pilot ideas out, see what happens.
Right. So all that to say, it's a little premature for
it is
one sheet to explain to residents what's happening, because the city hasn't got it together yet.
Mm-hmm. But it is law right now that you're not supposed to throw away your waste in the.
Yeah, individuals aren't going to get prosecuted if they don't. It's the city that's going to get in trouble. And there's a timeline on, people aren't going to get prosecuted, or city's not going to get their hands slapped just yet. They have a little bit of a rolling time to implement. It's not that long, but I think we need to wait a little bit longer to see how a few details are going to shake out before we start doing outreach and education.
Mhm. Okay. And were you able to work on that one sheet on the water, or is that also too much?
To me?
Melanie?
Oh.
I didn't. I didn't. And I mean, I'm sort of looking at like what I want to do, tell people that this is the, longest, most intense drought on record. And it's, this is not going to be periodic anymore. This is sort of, I mean, I'm not quite sure how you want me to do this. The city
Well, I think
also,
that- well, maybe,
but just because
you know,
the city also has not yet stepped up with any new incentives, with any new regulations. They're sort of dragging their feet on. I mean, they were much more aggressive in the 2014 than they are now, and yet the situation is much more dire now, and it's just watching a train wreck because of the election year. So it's
Mhm.
difficult to get folks engaged in restrictions and programs that don't really exist any differently than they did 7 years ago. We haven't, as government wise, is not adapted to the situation. So there's nothing new to offer people. And yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I can stay on it, but
well, maybe what I'll do is I'll sit down with Tony and we'll think about what do we need to educate, like, sort of keep it really simple, as Brandon was saying, and just what do we need, like it'll take a minute to figure it out, to figure out what do we need to tell people, what are things people can do, and you can go from, take out your lawn, create, to create a bioswale, which is like a lot more,
Look,
But-
send everybody to my website and have them read the Water LA 2018 report. There you go.
There you go. Kira, did you have something more that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I felt like it was a good time to make a joke. I wanted to thank Melanie for giving me the excellent advice of watching that Don't Look Up movie. So if anyone hasn't seen that, there's a great moment in the film where they make a meme. I believe the actor's name is Jennifer Lawrence, and they make a meme of her screaming, "We're all gonna die." And I feel like that's what the one sheets, I mean, they have to be something that
There you
powerful.
go.
Like, stop wasting water, moron. Or something. I mean, it's so weird because like we all sit in these meetings and we all seem to be informed and know about these things. I mean, I was born in 1975 and I feel like by the time I was 2 years old, I knew not to waste anything. But it's just like this idea of how do you motivate people to care, especially single family homeowners. As mentioned before, you can go to Home Depot or Ace Hardware and buy an electric blower and just tell your yard dude, hey man, you got to use this when you come here, right? So that single family homeowners have like so much power that they could be doing. I just don't really have any idea at this point how you make people care enough to change their behavior. Because like I think it's awesome you have a bioswale. Like I want to come to your house and see it, because I'm like a giant nerd and a giant hippie too. But how do we make the average Joe Schmo just do something differently, or even starting at the point of caring enough to do something differently? But anyway, that movie was really funny, Melanie. Thank you for the advice.
I'm glad.
I have a really Diane and Nicole actually sent me this, so I'll send it to everybody. It's called "Wasting Water is Weird," and it's a ad. It's so weird. It's such a weird ad where this guy with a weird haircut stands next to people while they're wasting water and starts talking. It's just very funny. So I'll send it to you guys because it's kind of like the campaign that has to happen is to sort of wake people up and get their attention, and in ways that we have to be clever about. And I think, cutting down trees is weird, is really weird. Cutting down magnificent trees that are, as big around as I am, or even bigger than I am, it's weird. It's weird to cut those trees down. I don't even understand it. And yet it's happening at alarming rates. And, you know, it doesn't even make sense to me. So that's where we have to create, you know, these door hanger. What I think these door hangers are the way to go, but they have to be really, really clear. And sort of like what Brandon was saying, you know, like just simple, clear, you know, actionable things like, anyway, if I'm out of ideas for tonight. Is there any other last comments? Oh, 264 would like to speak. Go ahead. Phone number ending in 264.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering if this meeting is recorded somewhere where I can listen to it.
Yes, it is recorded. It gets put up somewhere. I think they're supposed to put it on the YouTube, the Studio City Neighborhood Council YouTube site. So it should be. What? Is this James or? No.
Yes.
Hi, James. Yeah.
Hi.
So, and if you want, you send me your email, I can send you the minutes too.
Okay.
If you felt.
I just wanted to listen to, because I didn't hear some of it, so I just wanted to listen to the rest of it. And the thing you were mentioning about the trees, I think it has to do with the 5G they want to put up, because any trees block their signal.
5G.
So that's what I think. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what a lot of people are saying, that a lot of the trees have to come down because they need to make that 5G connection continuous.
I don't think that's real.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't sound real to me.
Okay,
So,
that's what I've heard.
yeah.
But
Well, and that's a good thing to know, that if people are saying stuff like that.
If people believe it, it is real. So, yeah.
Well, all I'm
Another
saying,
thing for
I don't
the
think a tree is
information.
going to prevent 5G from going through the universe.
It is if it was wearing an aluminum foil hat.
Right.
I remember those. Yeah.
Hey, Adele? I just
Yeah,
wanna
wait, let me
suggest-
just make sure, James,
Yeah.
James, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
no, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to mention Californians Against Waste is a nonprofit in Sacramento, right down the street from the Capitol, and I've been working with them for a couple of years, and we're about to try a couple of proof of concept places in Sacramento, possibly one place that would be have several technologies for the legislators to see in action. This has to do with microfiber filtration, both for commercial and residential applications of technology, as well as food cycling. I'm just wondering, does Studio City have a place where we could potentially show how things could get done, even show the difference between a palm tree and the right tree as opposed to the wrong tree, and start to educate? I don't know. I'm just wondering about proof of concept besides my home or your home or somebody else's home. You know, where we can show what things look like in a little microcosm place that has a great tree and the alternative to grass and perhaps a bioswale or a parkway basin that Melanie's so good at, you know, some
Yeah,
urban
we did
attributes.
that. We did that in Panorama City. We did it in Studio City, but you know, and the city is all like excited about it. And yeah, it's great. And you show them the research and the data and the monitoring. And then they're like, yeah, how do we make sure this never happens again?
You know, I think that, well, Tony's yard is amazing. And, you know, maybe it's more like stations rather than a place. Like,
Yeah.
we have Tony's yard, and I'm going to try to figure out how to make my yard more like Tony's yard. So,
Well, we can promote the annual
you-
Theodore Payne garden tour. That's always a really good
Yeah.
thing. It's mostly focusing on just native native plants, but a lot of the homes also incorporate rainwater harvesting and such. So,
But maybe also the church, which that has a composting, site, could be they are very open there at that church. They're
Yeah.
very, very good people, and they might, you might be able to set up something there. And it would be kind of fun when Kira is talking about the sustainability fair. In New York, we would have these walking tours, of different places, and you'd go on a walking tour. Wouldn't it be fun to have a sustainability walking tour of Studio City and figure out, a bunch of different sites to go to, and you just walk a group through. And, Melanie would be a great person. She can now walk. So it's very exciting.
she's walking again.
No, I don't know if you could walk that far, but like it could be, we could create something.
Well, I think the opportunity would be right at a high traffic, high tourist part of Studio City, where you finally get rid of a palm tree, you put in a great canopy tree, or I don't know how that's done. That's going to take money. And with tremendous
time.
education, and
And
tremendous
they need to grow.
clear education, and people see the metrics. There's that one that sits next to the lobster restaurant it's terrible. It sits there, nobody sees it. For the Heal the Bay has that thing you're supposed to see what happens with water as it approaches and gets into the bay. It sits there just where all those thousands of people go right down to the pier in Santa Monica, but nobody sees it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I have to go to Chris and then Chip.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. This might be for Melanie too. As far as the LA Riverwalk by near Weddington, is it Merca that's in charge of trimming the native plants there? Susan was there the other day taking photos of insects and trying to document the monarch butterflies that are hanging out there. And she said that area had been whacked, probably more than it should have been. And they left a mustard plant right out in the open, but the native plants were all trimmed back mercilessly. So is that a Merca thing?
Yeah, the MRCA gave a grant to tree people to take over maintenance of that site. And then based on what Chip told me, I understand that Tree People was sending their female maintenance folks down, and they got freaked out by what's his name because he was so violent, and they stopped doing the work. So
Jonathan, right?
That's Jonathan. So that's the last I heard is. So I'm not sure that I think they abandoned their grant or something.
Joe Laskin is looking into who did the trimming down there. He's on the case.
Okay, because Susan tried to contact somebody at Merca at one point and got a really snarky, unfriendly answer from somebody. So I'm just trying to figure out who the right person to talk to is.
No, I've been sounding the alarm since
Okay.
she wrote me. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Tree People contract seems that it ended in the fourth quarter of last year, and it doesn't show on the volunteer stuff at this point. I think it is MRCA, but they don't really have. Yeah, Adele's circulated that far and wide. The problem is if it's volunteers, you get varied skill levels with
There
volunteers.
has to be somebody leading the troops. Otherwise, you end up with mustard plants sitting untouched and all the
Yeah,
native
and
plants
the
cut
mustard
down.
should go and the sunflower should stay.
And the county, the county maintains the original Valley Heart Greenway, over here, the Radford one. What they've done is they contract out to various landscapers. And over the years, they've had some okay ones and some really crappy ones. And like a landscaper gets bought out by a bigger landscaper, and they start bringing their weed whackers out and doing crap. And it's staying on top of that with just the Radford to Laurel thing has been, and now we've got a brand new supervisor there who isn't really keen about all this kind of stuff. So at least on my side of Laurel. So I don't know how that's ever going to happen, but they talk about, oh yes, we can see that it's a problem, and our own biologists say that it's awful, but we can't change it until the contract is up. And so as soon as the contract's up, we'll do something, and then they forget about it. And then they're like, oops, I'm sorry, our bad. And it's a nightmare. And that's one of the things that we were hoping to be able to talk about with the charrette that one of these days we'll get around to being able to do here about the river greenways in Studio City. It's best having local maintenance people who are qualified to do this, who focus on natives and understand how to steward natives rather than just a landscape contractor company.
The cheapest bidder.
It usually does mow, blow, and go. And it's not just an aesthetic problem anymore. This is a climate problem. If we don't steward and maintain our native biodiversity or landscapes and trees that, you know, can help not only protect the biodiversity, but sequester the carbon, and we let these things go, this is huge. And we have to build skill sets of how to maintain these things. And that, just like I always say, I mean, 100 years ago, the idea that everybody would have green lawns and spend a chunk of their income on making it look like, you know, an inch tall and bright green and only 2 plants, people would have thought you were mad. And they would be right, but look how quickly that kind of social transformation can happen. And the reason most people maintain that is to keep up with what is putatively the norm, but it's damaging and dangerous and wasteful and creates 50 problems, and we have to just shift the norm. But to do that, you have to have a qualified workforce. You have to train up youth to make this what they do, and this is the gap that we're dealing with. And the confounding thing in that gap is there's a real big push towards ensuring that all green jobs are union jobs, and there is no union for this kind of work yet. It's super complex, and one of the best ways to solve that is to try to get folks to support community-based stewardship, so that people can have good paying jobs working in their own community, taking care of things that keep us healthy.
More for the door hanger.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, you know, don't get me started. It's basically what I was saying.
Understood.
Chip, did you have something else to say?
Yeah, I think the idea of the demonstration garden is a great idea. You know, doing a bioswale, that kind of stuff. When you mentioned church, the other church we could potentially look at, we would need to do several sites across Studio City. That Unitarian church on Moore Park, which also has the existing take what you need fruit, vegetable. They have some mature trees. So I'm sure we could go take a look there and see that if they weren't mulching something properly, we could actually do a circle of mulch and that kind of stuff. And I would not be surprised if they were open to the idea of being one of several demonstration gardens.
Mhm.
Because
Good
they're
idea.
one of
Just
the,
on that, Mary Sager McFadden, who is the landscape architect on our project for Radford to Laurel, and who is a Studio City resident of very long standing, is one of the main people involved with the work that they do at the Unitarian Church. She's a member there, and she's helped them with the natives and with the veggie gardens and all that kind of stuff. So Mary knows what's up. So, I mean, I think Mary has more expertise than probably anybody on this call when it comes to that stuff. So if we wanted to engage Unitarian Church, Mary would be the person to reach out to.
Mary who? What's your
Mary
last name?
Sager McFadden.
Okay. Great. Wow. Good work. Great meeting. So can you, Chip, write up the minutes best you can and get them over to Jesse, and he'll format it for you? Is that okay?
I will do that.
Okay. That's okay with you, Jess? Yep. Unless there's anything else that anyone would like to say, I would like to adjourn the meeting. And normally our meeting is on the second Monday of the month. It was just had to be the first Monday because of the way the Wednesday fell, so that we could get our motions over to the whole board. I wanted to get our motions in if we could. So so it will be the second Monday of April. So just so you know. Thanks, you guys. And see you on the other side. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned at 9:17. Bye. Aye.